Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and I'm back here to bring you more of Elliot Rodger's Constant Shame. Elliot is the man who would come to be known as the Virgin Killer of Isla Vista, and incels would eventually crown him their patron saint, along with Saint Black Ops 2 Cell. I haven't followed the incels in years, so they might not even say this stuff anymore, to be fair. I think I will be making a Day of Retribution video because he really didn't do a great job, even at that. But today is the conclusion of his lottery woes, when he finds out about Powerball. Let's just get started with Elliot Rodger's Most Shameful Moments, Part 6. I'll link to Part 5 if you haven't seen it. This is a continuation. I continued to visit the website of the Mega Millions lottery. I still clung to the hope that it may rise above $100 million again, and I would be the winner. So far I saw that as my only way out of my horrible situation. My situation was indeed horrible. I couldn't leave the house without seeing a young couple walking around somewhere. Everywhere I went, I was all by myself, while other young people had friends and girlfriends. I was ashamed to show myself to the world, even though I wore expensive designer clothes. What was the point if girls still weren't attracted to me? No one respects a man who is unable to get a woman. A man wearing shorts and a t-shirt would be seen as superior to me if he walks into a store with a beautiful girl on his arm and I walk in all alone. A man having a beautiful girl by his side shows the world he is worth something, because obviously that beautiful girl sees some sort of worth in him. If a man is all alone, people get the impression that girls are repulsed by him, and therefore he is a worthless loser. Yeah, so Elliot thought everyone else thought just like him. The people were constantly judging everyone based on how much money they seemed to have, and especially whether they had an attractive girlfriend. So every time he ever went somewhere alone, or even with male friends, he felt like a fucking loser. This kid was really torturing himself. Not like anyone was going to be that impressed if he found a girlfriend. Earlier in that day, as I drove through Isla Vista, I saw this one particular young couple that stood out from the rest, only because the girl looked absolutely perfect. She was tall, blonde, and sexy. She would have towered over me in height, and her boyfriend of course towered over her. They were both wearing beach gear, and the girl was in her bikini, showing off to everyone her sensual, erection-causing body. Her blonde hair was wet from swimming in the ocean, and it only made her look more arousing. The two of them were holding hands, and it was clear that they were in love. I saw the boyfriend place his hand on the girl's ass, and when he did this, the girl looked at him and smiled with delight. That guy was in heaven. I can only imagine how amazing it must be to have sex with a girl like that. I had to witness everything I wanted but could not have. It made me feel dizzy with anguish. Her sensual, erection-causing body. That's a good line. I immediately thought about that couple and how impossible it was for me to have the same experience as that guy. Impossible as I was at that point. But it would be possible for me to get a tall, blonde, sexy girlfriend if I was a multimillionaire. Oh yes, it would be very possible. Becoming a multimillionaire is the only way I could have such an experience, and winning the lottery was the only way I could become a multimillionaire at my age. As I stared at the Powerball jackpot that was over $500 million, I knew that I had to win it. It was midnight when I had this revelation, and the drawing was on the following day. The only way I could get a ticket before the drawing was if I left for Arizona right then and there. And so that is exactly what I did. I quickly looked up the best route on Google Maps, packed some food into my backpack, and took off. Oh yeah, it's completely impossible to be a multimillionaire at the age of 22. Just ask Jake Paul. I know there weren't quite the same options to make money online in 2014, but his defeatist attitude really gets in his way a lot. And his Day of Retribution would obviously suffer from it too. Anyway, Elliot decided to drive to Arizona to play Powerball. He did this in one night with some difficulty, but he waited 3 days to check it once again. There was an Arizona winner, and I had bought my ticket in Arizona. After that long emotional journey, driving toward the sunrise in the middle of the desert, fighting off sleep just to get there in time, visualizing my whole future before me, with a beautiful blonde girlfriend and the children I would have with her. After all that, who else could the winner be but me? It was meant for me. It was fate, destiny. I took out my tickets, of which I had purchased 50, and sifted through them to find the one that matched the winning numbers. I felt dizzy and ecstatic as I did it, feeling so certain that my victory will be confirmed. When I reached the end of my stack of tickets, I didn't find that any matched. For the first few moments, I couldn't even believe what was happening. I looked through all of my tickets, again and again and again, and still nothing. I didn't win. People often say that Elliot's a good writer, but I'm not really sure I agree in general. That being said, the parts about the lottery are probably the best written parts in my twisted world, despite being a bit repetitive. When I got to the park, I sat in my car for hours, crying and crying and crying. I wailed with agony. My tears streamed down my face and stained my collar. I couldn't take it anymore. Feeling the need to talk to someone, I called the only people I had in my life, my parents. I called them both, first my mother and then my father, and I told them both how much I was suffering from my loneliness and my utter realization that I had no hope of ever having a happy life. I told them that they must be ashamed of me, that I was a 21-year-old virgin who was unable to get a girlfriend or making any friends whatsoever. I was not the son any parent would want. My tantrum to my parents on the phone deeply disturbed them, and they arranged for me to see my psychiatrist, Dr. Charles Sophie, when I return home for the winter break. I'm sure his parents are acutely aware now that this was more of a cry for help than they were even aware of. Elliot started to form his specific plans about the day of retribution at this point. We'll be covering all that in another video, I think. I don't think I've talked about it specifically since my 100 subscriber special on my first channel like 4 years ago. Crazy to think about. I remained in my hometown for a couple of weeks, and then I went back to Santa Barbara, the place of beauty and romance that I've had to suffer in lonely hell. I only signed up for online classes for the spring semester, but that was only to placate my parents. I didn't see the point in even bothering with college anymore. Having to walk through SBCC with all those beautiful girls strutting around in their revealing shorts, showing off their sexy legs. It is torture, because I know that they would all reject me. Well, women certainly aren't attracted to that kind of attitude. It's crazy, he had to go through so much trouble to go to this specific school that he saw in a movie because everyone would be hooking up, but now it's become a nightmare to him. Who could have seen that coming? At one point, I looked out my window and saw couples strolling around the street on their way to some party. They probably slept with each other that night. The sight made me feel so inferior, like a little mouse. I felt like I was at the bottom of the food chain. I couldn't fathom how I had to endure such a painful life. On that same night, I looked at the Powerball again and saw that the jackpot had risen to over $100 million. This prompted me to drive to Arizona again, in another desperate attempt to become instantly wealthy, so that I could attract beautiful girls and live the life I want. After all of the rejection and mistreatment I've experienced at the hands of women, I knew that becoming wealthy was the only way I could become worthy of them. And so my obsession with becoming wealthy at a young age came back in full force for the first few months of 2013. This guy just won't stop talking about how amazing and fabulous and supreme he is in his videos and posts. But in his writing, you can see that he considered himself unworthy of women unless he had money. It's kind of a sad thing to think, but it fits with the incel label. By the month of April, I had driven to Arizona 3 more times, making a total of 4 trips to Arizona in my lifetime, just to buy lottery tickets out of intense desperation, believing it to be my only hope of attaining the life I desire, the life I know I'm worthy of. I kept dreaming of the life I would have once I won, the beautiful blonde girlfriend, the luxurious mansion with a magnificent view, all of the exotic cars I would drive to impress girls. It gave me hope. It gave me something to live for. That hope was shattered after each attempt. None of the tickets I bought on these trips fulfilled my dreams. The reason I kept going, even after I didn't win, was because I truly believed I was supposed to win. I wanted to believe it, because I wanted something to live for. I needed to have hope. I knew that if I lost all of my hope, I would have nothing to live for but revenge. Any chance of having a happy life would be doomed. The only way he can live a happy life is if he wins the jackpot in the lottery. How can someone think that's a reasonable way of thinking? At the end of March, when I checked my last set of tickets that I had bought for my last trip to Arizona and saw that I didn't win, any hope I had of becoming wealthy at a young age was finally and indefinitely shattered. It fully dawned on me that the life I had envisioned for myself would never come to pass. The children I would have in the future with a beautiful blonde girlfriend ceased to exist as if they were murdered. There won't be any beautiful blonde girlfriend for me now. No girl would be my girlfriend unless I had great wealth. I learned that from my life of being rejected. I was doomed to a life of lonely virginity. That is essentially the end of the lottery saga, which is pretty much the last notable thing Elliot did before his day of retribution. I'm going to read one more paragraph here. The spring of 2013 was also the time when I came across the website puahate.com. It is a forum full of men who are starved of sex, just like me. Many of them have their own theories of what women are attracted to, and many of them share my hatred of women, though unlike me, they would be too cowardly to act on it. Reading the posts on that website only confirmed many of the theories I had about how wicked and degenerate women really are. Most of the people on that website have extremely stupid opinions that I found very frustrating, but I found a few to be quite insightful. The website PUA Hate is very depressing. It shows just how bleak and cruel the world is due to the evilness of women. I tried to show it to my parents, to give them some sort of dose of reality as to why I'm so miserable. They never understood why I'm so miserable. They have always had the delusion that everything is going well for me, especially my father. When I sent the link of puahate.com to my parents, none of them even bothered to look at the posts on there. God, how many cries for help did he give his parents? PUA hate, of course, is part of the trinity of primordial incel sites, along with slut hate and lookism. His parents probably should have been more concerned over this. Instead, they seemed pretty blindsided by his manifesto and rushed down to Isla Vista. But it was too late, of course. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you have something to say about Elliot Rodger or the content in general, let me hear it in the comments. Engagement is always good. Even dislikes are treated as positive by the algorithm. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more of the same and whatever Reddit stories I feel like talking about. I might also try some more Predator content. I couldn't keep my Lorne video monetized, but I get why. He's gross as hell. Big ups also to my awesome patrons who help keep me afloat with direct support over on Patreon. It's always a big help. We'll be back for the Day of Retribution as soon as I'm ready to cover Elliot again. Have a great day, everyone, and remember that when you're out with your girlfriend, there might be someone angrily staring at you the entire time. Weird thought.